What's up, you guys? My name's Katie, and I just finished my 5th year of teaching 3rd grade in the state of Florida. Actually, it's not my 5th year of teaching 3rd grade. I finished my 5th year of teaching, my 1st year of 3rd grade teaching in the state of Florida. Anyways, and I'm so glad you're here for today's video. Can you tell it's the end of the school year because my words are just all jumbled? But I thought I would do a sit-down video for you guys and share some of the things that I have reflected on this school year that I want to change in my classroom for next year. I just thought that'd be really interesting. I've got my coffee with me this morning, and I have this little notebook that a student gave me that's full of like sticky notes on the inside. And one of the sticky notes that I have, and I've written this in here, I think I got this, when did she give this to me? Christmas time is when I got this as a gift, and I started this note probably in January, and it just says next year with a line underneath, and it's things that I want to try to do differently in my classroom next year, or maybe like a procedure that I reflected on and I was like, that worked okay this year, but I'd rather do it this way next year. I just think that's super interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody post a video like this, but if you've seen one like this, tag it because I'd love to watch theirs. But I just thought it would be really cool to see like what it looks like to reflect on a procedure and change it for the next school year, and just to hear some ideas and have a brainstorming session. So it's gonna be super casual. I don't know how long this is gonna take. My list isn't super duper long, but I'll just share like something I did this year, how I'm changing it for next year, and maybe give you a little bit of my why while I sip on my coffee this morning. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Please keep in mind, this is my first year that I taught at this school and my first year teaching 3rd grade. So that is a lot of the reason like I'm reflecting and changing things, because now I'm like, okay, I know how some things work a little bit better. The first one I have is no library on off days. So my students as a class, we go to the library one day a week after our special area time so they can swap out books, and we have AR time during the week. And I let them this year go to the library throughout the week as they finish their AR books. And I think some students were taking advantage of that. And it also, like they weren't actually finishing their books or taking their tests, or they were like, oh, I didn't pick a good one. When we go and we spend a good amount of time in the library for them to like look for a book. And I just don't think they were looking. I think they were like picking up something random. And then the next week they're like, oh, well, I didn't really want this book. And I want that time, like if we're spending 15 to 20 minutes of our time in the library, like of our instructional time, I want it to be valuable and I want them to value it. So I'm thinking we might just go to the library during that day, or maybe I have one additional day that I let them go. That way they can pick books that are more meaningful. And also some of these kiddos are ready to pick chapter books, but they were picking like the easy ones because they could read it real quick, get the AR points, and then go swap it the next day. And I want them to challenge themselves and still earn their goal and not discourage them from doing that, but like really to let them think like maybe we should get a chapter book and one of those nonfiction books to kind of ease into it, if you know what I mean. So I'm thinking no library on off days next year, and just going when we go as a class, you swap it. And if they finish their books during the week, they can just reread it. I also need to do better about my own classroom library and maybe letting them look through that a little bit more than I did this past year. But there's so many great books in our library here, so I don't think they were lacking books. I think I'm just going to do that procedure differently. Next thing, this was a big change that I made this year. I used stem bins for my morning routine, and I liked it and I didn't like it. I loved that I didn't have to make copies for the morning. I loved that because it was nice to not have to worry about, I don't know how to do this problem. I don't know, like Miss Ellen, I don't know how to, and having to go around and check journals. I could just sip on my coffee, take my attendance, pass out things like, take care of I don't know what the word is, like the management tasks that you have to do in the morning as the kids come in, because here's my envelope, here's this, my mom said to give this to you. I could take care of all of that without having to do the rest. But on the flip side, by the end of the year, they just got pretty rowdy with them and they weren't being as responsible with them. And I promise you, I explicitly taught the procedures and have closed the stem bins all like a couple times too, but it just, sometimes they get to play on the playground in the morning, which I didn't know this until I started. So they get to play on the playground for like, they arrive at 7:45 and we come in here at 8:20. So as long as it's not raining, that's like 30 minutes or less, depending on when they arrive, of playtime and free time out on the playground. So the whole initial purpose of the STEM tubs in the morning was to give them that time when they come into the classroom. But they get that in the morning on the playground anyways. And so I'm kind of thinking maybe I'm just going to do STEM bins as our morning work on Fridays. And my team has this morning work that we've used all year long. And it's like math weekly review, and I've shown it in so many of my vlogs, and I would do that at the beginning of my math block, but my teammates would do it as their like warm up. And so I'm thinking, and there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's nothing on Friday. So I'm like, maybe I'll start doing that next year. That will be my you come in and you do this, and then you can read when you're done. And then on Fridays, like as a special treat, we get STEM bins for our morning routine. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I do love having the STEM bin routines in place and really solid though, because because that served me well that scared me, for extra recess when we were inside. So anytime we had indoor recess, I was like, okay, you can use a STEM bin, and they already knew how to do it and knew the procedures, which was so nice. So I'm not getting rid of them, but I might just move them to just Fridays, because it was like they were bringing a lot of playground chaos in here and still acting like they were out on the playground even when they came into my classroom. And I kind of needed it to be a cutoff, like, now you're in the classroom, so let's get focused type thing. So I think that's what I'm going to change. Next one is a slow supply opening. So I have my classroom supply section in the back of the room. And this year I didn't like cover it up or really introduce it much. But I think next year I'm going to do, I even like the beginning of the year, I toyed around with how I was even going to do supplies. I thought I was going to do table caddies, and then I ended up not doing table caddies because I just couldn't do it. And so I think this next year I'll probably do a slow start for my supplies and like introduce it, but not let the kids get into it yet until like a month into the school year, and then teach them how, like, okay, I need this colored pencil, and so I can go get it, which is about the time when maybe they'd start losing things or things might break that they brought, like a month or two in. So I'm still toying around with that idea, but like a slow supply opening so they don't just have free reign to all the supplies, which I don't think they had free reign to all of them this year either. It wasn't like a free-for-all, but there was a point in the year where they were taking advantage of the erasers in the bin and all the cap erasers. They were ripping the caps off and then just using the bottoms and like stacking them on their pencils, and I found like 20 or more behind the drawer of the supply bin over there. I was not a happy camper, and I took the eraser drawer out and I was like, there are no more erasers. If you want an eraser, you got to bring an eraser from home. Because I was like, seriously, you wasted so many cap erasers and then you left the evidence on the floor behind the drawer. So I don't know who was doing that, but and on, in way of school supplies, I don't let the kids use my pencil sharpener. I think next year I might let them use it just in the morning to get their pencils ready. I have like a swap, like if it's dull, they put it in the dull bucket and then they pick up a sharp one, and I'll still do that next year because I liked that, because then I didn't have to do pencil sharpening during the day. And it was just a quick, like they held up a one, they needed a pencil, I said go, they picked one up and they went to their seat. But I think as part of our morning routine, I might maybe like after the first few weeks of school, bring the pencil sharpener out, say it's here, it's available for you just for your pencils, and put like a piece of paper, like don't sharpen your pencil unless it's bigger than this. And then after like the morning announcements, put it away. So they have that extra time to sharpen, because some of them would just forget about swapping their pencils in the morning, or I don't know. I just think that might be a good thing to do. Next thing that I have, math morning work, check. I talked about that. No floor in the afternoon. So in the afternoon we do an app called Pick My Kid, and parents like enter when they're here on the app, and it like pops up on my screen, and then I dismiss them. So we're all in the classroom in the afternoons. So I have this big long playlist of like PBS shows essentially that we watch in the afternoons. And this year I let them sit on the floor to watch, and I'm thinking maybe I won't do that anymore, or maybe again it'll only be a Friday thing, because some of them would just play, and then from my desk I couldn't see everybody when they were on the floor, and I just had some students that took advantage of it. Not all, but some. So I think I might just have them like, you have to stay at your desk and watch. It's not very long, it's like 10 minutes at the end of the day. So we might do that, and then maybe on Fridays I'll let them sit on the floor. That's just a little fix that I might just be a little bit more rigid with what we do in the afternoons from the get-go to set myself up for success later on down the road. Ela Skills Wall. Okay, so I have my bulletin boards, which are here for ELA, and then I have one over there for math. and I hang anchor charts on them often. I hang math anchor charts, I'm just spinning you all around my room today, over on top of that computer screen that we don't use, and in the back walls back here I would hang anchor charts. But I think, and then behind me I would put our skip counting songs, and over here I have like our skip counting numbers. But I think something that I want to do next year is an Ela skill wall. I would keep the anchor chart up for a week, but I would love to have like a wall where we put like author's purpose and then a picture of the text that we practiced it with, just so all of those things like don't escape their mind, and when they come back up again, because I noticed like some of them came back again in the curriculum and they would look at you like, I don't remember doing author's purpose, and then you're like, oh, we did this when we read this, and they're like, oh yeah, I like that story, and I'm like, I should do that on my wall. So I'm thinking either the wall behind me, and I'll move my skip counting song somewhere else, and that's a really strong option because these cabinets are huge and it would be easy to access to hang things. Or I was thinking this wall right here, those where I have like the little bubbles, speech bubbles, I could do it there. But just printing out some cards, and I might make those this summer, based on the standards that say like identify author's or maybe just like author's purpose or point of view. And I don't feel like I have to, if I put it here I could define it a little bit more, but if I put it over there I won't. But I don't even feel like I have to put like the definition of each of those things up there, just like the word and then a text that we used for it. So it's a good like reference for the kids, if that makes sense. And I would use it kind of like a word wall in primary grades, how you build it as you learn the words. I think I would do that, like a skills wall, and as we learn a skill we add it. And maybe like a section for genres too. Okay, that could be really cool up here, like a skills, genres, something else maybe. So I'm toying around with that idea, but I would love to add that as a display, also just for my self-teaching, so I can be up there and I could say, remember, point of view, and like, you know, point to the point of view. Next thing, I need a hand sign for getting water. I have bathroom, question, I agree, is me too in sign language, pencil, and tissue, and I need to add one that's a sip of water, because I added the water bottle shelves like halfway through the year, and then they had to like raise their hand to ask to get water, and I let them get it if they ask most of the time, or I'll be like, hey, wait like 3 minutes until we finish this part of the lesson, then yes, you can get a drink. But I would love to have a hand sign for that, so it doesn't look like a question in the middle of the lesson, and I can address it like without drawing attention to the, yes, you can go get water, because then 7 of them need to go get water, but really don't. So that hand sign pack is from, who is it from? Lauren is her first name, but I can't, Putting Them First. Lauren from Putting Them First on TPT. I'll link it in the description. But I don't know if she had a hand sign for water. I know she had a lot of different options. So I'm gonna go look and see, and if not, I could probably like tweak the product and add one for water just to put on the board up there. So that's something I want to add. I only have 2 more. One of them is an economy app. There's an app thinking about like classroom management, and it's kind of cool. Some of our 4th grade classes started using it, and it's basically like a classroom economy system but via app, and the students get paid, and I kind of like that idea. Of them getting like classroom money and shopping in a store, but they didn't get paid. It wasn't like necessarily behavior, if that makes sense. It was like they got a paycheck for being at school and like doing their work, and they would get bonuses when they got like 100 on a math test or something. And not just bonuses for that, but also you could get bonuses for like going above and beyond, but it wasn't like strictly tied to behavior. It's not Class Dojo. It was, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I'm gonna do some research on it this summer because I think that would be really cool. And one of the things that I did this year with the Wheel of Excellence that I liked is like kids don't get rewarded every time they do something good, because that's just not the real world. And by the time they get to 3rd grade, like it's good to start weaning them off of that. Like you don't get a point every time you push in your chair. You don't get a point every time you raise your hand to answer a question. Like some of those are things that you just should be doing. And I understand like the need for that when they're in younger grades and training them. If you believe in that, some people don't even believe in that in younger grades. But by 3rd grade, I can just see this as like a huge transition year. And I think if I did it fun like that and they had something that they were working towards, that would be cool. And then the last, and so I'll keep you updated on that. The last one is table talk, and I don't even know what that means. So I guess I have no idea why I wrote that down. So if it ever like comes back to me, I'll let you know. So those are the changes that I'm thinking about making to my classroom this year. And that's literally it. I'm sure there will be more and some rearranging and stuff, but I'll update you on those as they come. Okay, I had a coworker come in and we just chatted for a minute, but I'm gonna close this video out. If anything else pops up in my head over the summer, I'll probably do some videos where I come and I work in my classroom, like cleaning my closet and reorganizing, and so I'll share those there. But that is my next year things I'm going to change list. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Click subscribe so you don't miss anything on my channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.